few years back, I did something really silly. I guess looking back, it was probably a waste of time. I spent about a half day making this insane song-specific patch that we never even offered for sale. Nobody ever bought it. We just published a quick 60-second video of it, and that was it. I made a song-specific patch to cover the Avengers theme song, like the Marvel movies. I'm a big fan of those, and I thought, oh, man, what if I could just cover that entire incredible orchestral arrangement from the keyboard? And I think it turned out pretty great. But like I said, we never offered this for sale. Nobody wanted it. It was just me seeing if I could do it. Ever since then, I've had this urge, though, to get back to that feeling of having an entire orchestra underneath my fingertips live. And Sunday Keys doesn't have anything like that, or at least it didn't until, you guessed it, today. Today's video, I want to show you some really cool new stuff that we've added to the Sunday Keys sound library. It's not focused on the Avengers, but it's going to give you that incredibly huge orchestra under your fingertips kind of sound. Okay, so now that you've gotten just a quick glimpse, let's dive into the SK Orchestra, which is a whole new bank of sounds now available in the Sunday Keys sound library. Okay, I'm in the app, and it's important for me to say we never post-process the output of the app. We just use the built-in screen recording function on the iPad. That's that red dot you see in the top right corner. Afterwards, we just extract the audio from the screen recording, and we put it straight in the video. There's no EQ, there's no sweetening or thickening or saturation or compression that we do to make it sound better than it actually does. The app really does sound like this. Okay, I'm gonna open the sound browser. And remember, there's two browsers in the app. The patch browser is here, add a patch from the library. That's for ready-to-play layered patches consisting of many sounds that we've mixed together for you. Provides a quick jumping off point, sometimes a destination, to quickly get to a playable patch in your set list. But there's a second browser called the sound browser, and that's accessed by tapping add sound in any of these 15 sound modules. And that lets you choose an individual sound and add it to any new or existing patch. So I'm just gonna search for SK Orchestra. I'll minimize the keyboard so you can see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different voicings. And the way that we approached this was to sort of give you options. The basic starting point, this is the full, huge orchestra sound. I went back to my sampling work and I combined 32 different sample sources of custom samples together to create this one playable instrument. And the pieces of the orchestra shift dynamically and smoothly as you move up or down the keyboard. So you've got upright bass, tuba, low sounds down low, and then you've got woodwinds, flutes, violins, higher strings. In this full voicing, you have bells. You've got an acoustic guitar, you've got harp. Anyways, as you travel up or down the keyboard, different elements come to the forefront, which makes it a really interesting and dynamic experience. So here's full. And brightness is on the mod wheel. And a lot of attention was paid to the velocity responsiveness. So as you dig in, you get more intensity, more brashness, more boldness from these sampled instruments, and more attack. So you can be pretty expressive, doing orchestral runs, melodic riffs in that right hand, stabs, hits, or if you lay back, and those attacks are softened, everything becomes a bit more subtle and a little bit less bright. And you can use this for playing actual orchestral parts or just to pad things out. The full voicing is like the kitchen sink. It's the entire orchestra, all 32 pieces arranged across the keyboard and also arranged in a true concert stereo image. So if you were directing this orchestra or if you were scoring it for a film or for a session recording or whatever, you'd have the players in the orchestra arranged around the pit, right from left to center to right. And we've paid attention to all of those details to voice everything realistic, so it feels as real and alive as possible. So the full voicing gives you everything, right? And then you have the smooth voicing. This is still kind of the everything voicing, but with just a bit less intensity. And it brings those strings forward. So if you do want that orchestral feel, but you're not really looking for more much of the percussion and much of the woodwinds or the brass, smooth is going to sit more in that stringy orchestral space. You still have the support of all of those lifelike layers underneath. It's just more string forward. Core strips back layers a little bit further. It gets rid of some of the enhancement layers, the harp, acoustic guitar, the bells, some of the percussion, and focuses on more of the core orchestral elements. So woodwinds, brass, strings, that sort of thing. So you have sort of three ready-built mixes of the SK Orchestra. Full is intense, it's kitchen sink, everything coming at you, very expressive, lots of response and dynamic intensity as you build. Smooth mellows things out but still maintains the character of all 32 pieces. And then core strips back some of the aux and percussion elements to focus more on just those core elements, strings, brass, woodwinds, that sort of thing. And then from there, what we've done is broken everything out even further so that you can actually put together these layered orchestras yourself. So we have the individual sections or pieces of the orchestra, each sampled separately, and then you can blend them together by adding multiple sounds to your patch if you'd like. So you have aux, brass, strings, and winds. So you have these four different types of orchestral pieces that you can blend together at will. So we'll start at the bottom with winds because this is like pretty familiar. There's winds. Next up is strings. And honestly, just this alone adds so much value to Sunday Keys, just having this beautiful, full range string sound that's dynamic and expressive, but never goes too far, steps outside of that sort of underscoring role if you want it to stay there. And there's a lot of brightness here, but you can dial that in to wherever you'd like it to sit with EQ. But you have the option for these strings to be very airy and stand out on top. Very much this sort of pure Hollywood style string sound. Just long, smooth, airy legatos across the entire keyboard. Next up you have brass. This might be the most expressive when it comes to the difference over velocities. You get some raspiness from the brass instruments here. So you can add a lot of grit, and then you can really mellow things out by playing at lower velocities. Really proud of how that one turned out, and I think of songs like "So Will I," where you're doing that. Doing that wall of pads, but it's brass sort of thing. Never been able to pull that from Sunday Keys before, and now you can. And then lastly, we have aux. And this is everything that didn't fit into any of those other buckets. And it changes the most across the key bed. So it's a lot of fun to just spend some time figuring out where instruments are placed. And as we go up, we start to transition into bells. There's celeste and glockenspiel in there. There's harpsichord, piano. You've got timpani. I think I said acoustic guitar. If I didn't say it, it's in there. And the volume modulates a lot as you play lighter. So I've actually used this layer a couple times, just layered in with a grand piano sound because it's sort of like a piano thickening. One-stop shop. But it has so much attack that the other voicings don't have, so it can really help to add definition to the notes that you're playing when you start layering things together. So let's go ahead and add these individual ingredients to a single patch. Add the aux, brass, strings. So now I've added all four of these individual sort of grouped sounds into one patch, and now I can just mix the orchestra however I would like. I'm gonna bring everything down just a touch so it doesn't start off too loud. So now we could choose, you know, no strings, or you could go strings forward, maybe take out the brass. Or you can use this if you map an expression pedal via Midi learn. You could, you know, dynamically swell in or out one of these sounds, or you could of course control the volumes via snapshots, so your orchestra could ebb and flow as you move through your song arrangement. You could also play around with spatialization, adding more or less reverb to one section, playing around with EQ so that things sit how you would like. So if you just have everything kind of at the same level, you're gonna end up with a pretty darn similar voicing to the full voicing, which is great. But if you're just gonna do that, then the full voicing makes more sense because you're just running one set of samples instead of four. But if you then want to make more fine-tuned adjustments, having these individual layers gives you a level of control that just wasn't possible before, and I think unlocks a lot of really cool possibilities. So let me know which of these orchestral layers you find most intriguing, or if you're just going to use one of those three ready-built mixes. Speaking of really cool opportunities, though, I want to highlight another addition to the Sunday Keys sound library that came alongside the SK Orchestra, and that is a whole new dulcimer sound. And you can search for SK Dulcimer, and anything with V2 in the name is going to be these brand new dulcimers. We've had a dulcimer in Sunday Keys for years, but it's more of a mellow, sort of warm dulcimer sound, and I really wanted something bright and tacky that could do that aggressive old Coldplay, tack piano kind of thing. And now we have it. It sounds really incredible. There's a ton of body in the full voicing. We also recorded a felted version. This is an entirely different sample set. Much more mellow. It still has that jangly, sort of chimey start. And then there's a few extended preparations or articulations. Bursts. Has a little bit of a slapback in the performance, which I think is really cool. You can see that being useful. And then it cycles and loops as you sustain. And then we have two different tremolo voicings. I'll play the basic one first. Brightness is on the mod wheel, of course. And then we have octaves. So some sound design ingredients for you there to mix into pads, use as sound beds, adding noise, maybe covering transitions, something really cool. And then bursts. And it's all in the loop in the sustain here. And you get those random elements, especially if you start playing legato. One thing I'll show you about this one, if you want more or less intensity from those repeated bursts, you can play with the ADSR. So bring the sustain level down if you want. And it'll fade out. It'll fade out over time. You'll still get that initial strong attack. And if you want that to happen faster, just decrease the decay time. But you can still have some of that character. You can control how much right there on the ADSR, which can be pretty cool. And then lastly, we have probably the voicing I've been using the most, which is a modified version of the full voicing. It's called Bright Lead. This chops out all of the low end and focuses on that right hand sort of bright piano thingy. And so because of that, it cuts off here at middle C. It's really intended to do that right hand layering thing. Let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna grab the the stage grand. I'll grab the stage grand here, the hall voicing, and I love layering a big bright dulcimer sound with a nice piano. Here's without. Still nice, but totally different energy with a bit of that dulcimer, and usually, you know, a little bit further back in the mix. It'd be nice if I could play that riff right, but not for today. You know it. There it is. So for me, I'm often actually really subtly just want that little bit of jangle on the start of my piano sound. I would do this with an upright piano in the same way. So let's grab this stage upright. This is newer. I'm gonna pick the room voicing. And you can choose just how much, you know, that jangliness you need. Put a counter on for how many times I played this riff wrong. There it is. Anyways, the new SK Dulcimer V2 came in the same update here as the SK Orchestra, so it's a really dense update, lots of new stuff for you to explore. And this dulcimer is right at home alongside the SK Orchestra sounds as well. Okay, but we're not done yet. We've put one more batch of sounds in this monthly update. We're running out of time in the video, but I want to show you, we added a bunch of new instruments sampled from a vintage Juno 60 synthesizer. We have some Juno stuff already in the library, but we grabbed a bunch of modified stock presets. Anything with J60 and then a number in the name, that's the original preset number from the vintage unit, which we had on hand. One of our sound designers sampled it. It was in incredible condition, sounded really, really clean. And so those are all now in the library also. Classic J60 sounds. Made lush with just a bit of reverb. Just adding that vintage analog character. Another pad. Two more to round it out. This one's probably my favorite. Bunch of unison going on, and that lush, noisy J60 chorus sampled in. And then last one, this one didn't come from a single preset, so it's not numbered, but this J60 unison pad smushed a couple things together to give you this really beautiful pad. Nice and noisy. kind of hollow. So this would layer really well with shimmer, with warm pads, or with the piano. So those are the new J60 sounds now in the Sunday Keys library as of this update. So just to recap, we have the new SK Orchestra, the new SK Dulcimer V2, and this bank of new Juno 60 sampled sounds, all in this month's update to Sunday Keys. And we mean it when we say we want to put our best stuff in Sunday Keys. So everyone with an active Sunday Keys license can now download all of this stuff. Let us know in the comments which of these three you're most excited about. Oh, and I wanted to show you also, you can browse by source. So if you want to, you can go down and you can look for different kinds of things. So you could choose Juno, and you could see all the synths we have that came from a Juno, either a Juno 60 or a Juno 160. And there's some awesome stuff in there, and we've got all sorts of other vintage synths that you can browse by, analog sources, digital sources, and of course, acoustic sources like the human voice, music box, electric pianos, all sorts of things. It can be fun to browse sounds by where they came from and not where they ended up. So if you are looking for some new inspiration, go choose the source model dropdown and then browse. Let us know what you find. Okay, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed this new update. Can't wait to share the next one with you. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and share it with another worship keys player or worship leader that you think would enjoy it. Thanks for watching.